When Ana Walshe went missing in the first days of 2023, there was an outcry of concern and fear for the 39-year-old mother of three young boys from people like Peter King, a friend of Ana's.
Ana is a remarkable woman. She's a powerful executive. She's a loving mom. She's a just loving wife. She's one of the most remarkable humans we know, and we're very scared. We miss her a lot, and we're just praying for her to be safe.
That concern soon turned into anguish when signs started pointing toward her being killed. Here's a cousin of Ana's, Elizabeta Jovicic, days after Ana's husband Brian was arrested.
Good mother, good sister, good wife, everything is good with her. I just can't believe that Brian do this, if he do this.
And he's pleaded not guilty to all charges. We spent days talking to some people who knew her best. A common thread: Ana was described as having a passion for life, a drive for work, charisma, beauty, both inside and out. This is her friend Pamela Barty.
An absolute light. Or the kind of person, when you walk into a room, you feel her energy. Like, that's just who she is. And she's all about elevation, brilliant when it comes to business and hospitality, and just an absolute light, always talking about her family, her boys, always talking about business in different ways to help other people elevate and inspire them.
Welcome back to the searches for Ana Walshe. I'm Colton Bradford. So far in our series, we've gone over the search effort for the missing mom from Cohasset, introduced you to Brian Walshe and his criminal history, as well as the gruesome murder allegations against him and his wife's disappearance. Plus, we've taken you behind the scenes, sharing what it was like for our team, covering all the twists and turns in this shocking case as it first developed. Now, we're exploring the woman at the center of it all. What was her story? How did she go from a housekeeper at a boutique hotel in rural Virginia to a high-profile real estate professional? Were there warning signs that something may have been wrong in her marriage? These are the questions we're answering for you today. Parts of what shocked people in Massachusetts about this case was where it happened. Cohasset is an affluent town in a picturesque area between Boston and Cape Cod, known as the South Shore. Ana, a Serbian immigrant who worked her way into real estate, traveled a long road before ending up there. Let's go back to the very beginning. Ana Walshe was born Ana Lubicic in 1983 in Belgrade, Serbia, then part of Yugoslavia. She attended a prestigious prep school in Belgrade known as the Fifth Belgrade Gymnasium and continued her education at the University of Belgrade, where she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in French language and in literature. Soon, she would head to the United States. She came here in 2005 and eventually achieved dual citizen status. We were able to learn about Ana, both her professional and personal lives, through her social media accounts. Her LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram pages are still active and public. They offer a glimpse at who she was on the job, at home, and some of what we learned about her career, it comes from there. She worked in hospitality here, and her career quickly took her to boutique luxury resorts. She was hired by the Inn at Little Washington, a rural village in Northern Virginia about 70 miles west of Washington, D.C., and she worked there as a housekeeping attendant and the server. She later got a job at the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, Massachusetts. She worked there for 2 years, also cleaning apartments, and as the Belgrade newspaper, The Courier, reported, at a friend's recommendation, she cleaned the home of Brian Walshe, the man she would go on to marry, have 3 children with, and ultimately, allegedly, be killed by. We'll be right back. Lenox is a town of about 5,000, a tourist retreat in the Berkshires. It's historically been a haven for artists, and it's home to Tanglewood, the summer home of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Nearby sits the Wheatley, where Ana used to work. It's a grand historic mansion sitting on a park nestled in the mountains, originally built as a wedding present for the daughter of a railroad baron in 1893. Photos online show massive rooms with giant beds, plush decor, and floor-to-ceiling curtains on windows offering beautiful vistas of western Massachusetts wilderness. Ana worked at the hotel as a reservations manager from 2008 to 2010. That's the same time period when, as she told a federal judge in a letter about Brian, she met her future husband. She called it love at first sight. Meanwhile, she studied hospitality management at Cornell University. Ana continued to work her way up in the hospitality industry, taking a job in management at the Willard Intercontinental in Washington, D.C., then in 2015, moving up to the Willard Intercontinental in Boston. She continued to work in high-level positions at hotels in Greater Boston before transitioning to real estate. She began her final job as regional general manager at Tishman Speyer in February of 2022, a job that she now infamously would commute from Cohasset to Washington, D.C. for on a weekly basis. Ana wrote about her professional journey in a 2022 Instagram post that featured a selfie of her in front of a Ritz-Carlton hotel. Here's our senior assignment editor at NBC 10 Boston, Debbie King, reading the caption of that Instagram post.
Walking past this hotel brought memories of growing up in Belgrade, Serbia in the 90s, and watching movies such as Home Alone and others, with scenes in glamorous five-star hotels and imagining what it would be like to work at a hotel, such as the famous Ritz-Carlton. My dream came true with my very first job in the U.S. back in 2005 at the legendary The Inn at Little Washington in Virginia, where I worked alongside some of the most talented and passionate hospitality professionals. Though my aspects of the positions I held in the beginning did not include any glamorous tasks, making beds, cleaning toilets, polishing glasses, setting up tables, serving bread, etc., and often resulted in working up to 16 hours per day, I now, some 15 plus years later, reap the benefits of the work ethic, discipline, and endurance, and cherish memories of the journey unlike any other. I am grateful for the opportunity to apply what I learned in different industries and to also be able to experience service excellence on the other side as a guest when I travel.
As Ana moved her way up the ranks of the hospitality and real estate industries, from housekeeping to real estate management in 15 years, she was building another part of her life, her family. And by many accounts, she was even more passionate about being a mother than her work. Let's go back to Lenox, where Brian and Ana met in 2008. Now, it's not exactly clear how they met, but what we do know is that Brian's dad at one point had a home in Lenox, a home that would become the source of a major falling out between father and son, after Brian allegedly took off with almost $1 million when it was sold. Accounts vary on whether Brian and Ana stayed together during her time in Washington. Ana said in her letter to the federal judge that they were a long-distance relationship for a few years, though her mother told the Serbian newspaper that they broke up for about 2 years. But they did get back together, and Ana moved to Boston in 2015. They got engaged and married that same year with a ceremony in Serbia. In 2016, Ana had their first child. They had their second son 3 years later, followed by a third son in 2021. In so many ways, it seemed like Ana was succeeding in her professional and personal lives. And we should note that a Serbian journalist from the outlet Espresso told us after Brian was initially charged that Ana's mother didn't believe he heard her.
She doesn't believe that Brian is guilty, but we will see. We are all waiting for the information from the USA.
But was there something darker going on behind the scenes? When we come back, a troubling 2014 police report paints a different picture of what was going on. And we'll hear more from Ana's mother. From the outside, it looked like the American dream. Ana Walshe was a Serbian immigrant whose ambition and dedication moved her up the ladder in the hospitality and real estate business. And it was love at first sight, she said, when she met her would-be husband Brian, whom she had 3 children with. But were there warning signs that something was wrong? Long before Brian allegedly killed her. Producer Matt Fortin is sharing with us what we learned from a police report filed in Washington, D.C. in 2014.
This would have been a year before Brian and Ana were married. At this point, the two were still, by her account, in a long-distance relationship, and Ana was working as the front office operations manager at the Willard Intercontinental in D.C. We obtained a police report from the city's police force. The report states, Ana told authorities that Brian, quote, made a statement over the telephone that he was going to kill her and her friends, end quote. Police in D.C. said later that the case was closed and that there was nothing more to the incident. I want to add something else to this timeline we've been working on covering Ana's personal life. According to the Boston Globe, Ana was married to a different man before marrying Brian. She reportedly was married or already married in 2008 to a chef at the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox. They divorced in 2014, a year before Ana moved to Boston and married Brian, according to the Globe. We tried reaching out to the man, but numbers listed for him weren't active. We don't know too much else. We weren't able to track down the marriage or divorce records, so it's hard to know how important that relationship would have been for her.
Ana's mother gave some possible clues to trouble brewing in the Walshes' marriage in an interview with NBC News a day after the chilling Google searches Brian allegedly made, the ones that catapulted the case to infamy, were revealed in court as Brian faced new murder charges. Ana's mom, Milanka Lubicic, spoke from Serbia about her disbelief that Brian would make the Google searches that he's accused of. At that point, Lubicic was still hopeful that Ana was alive. In fact, spoke positively of Brian, overall saying that her daughter, quote, never complained about her husband. Never. She also stated, quote, I always thought good of him. He was always in a good mood, telling jokes. He was the main cook in the house, always made us food, unquote. She added that Brian saved her life during a medical emergency and helped to care for her during her recovery. She said that overall, she spent 16 months with her daughter and son-in-law during 3 visits. But according to Lubicic, the couple's living situation was a source of tension. Ana was working in Washington, D.C., flying there every week for a job she loved as regional manager at a real estate company, Tishman Speyer. But her mom said she hated being away from her children. Brian's legal troubles, though, kept him tied to their Massachusetts home, since a judge assigned him to home confinement and ordered him not to leave Massachusetts after he pleaded guilty in the Andy Warhol fraud case. Ana's mother said his legal situation dragged on for much longer than they were anticipating it to. Then, on Christmas Day, Ana's mom said she got a text message asking her to come the next day. She told her daughter she couldn't make it in such short notice, and could they try for the following day? Her mom asked why there was such urgency, and Ana said she and Brian weren't getting along about the kids and where they would spend time. They eventually made plans for her mom to come in January and stay for a couple of months. Ana called her mother on New Year's Eve, but her mom was sleeping and didn't answer. Then, of course, on New Year's Day, Ana went missing. Lubicic sent a text that day to her daughter wishing her a Happy New Year. There was no answer. We can learn a lot from someone's social media in today's world. Ana was quite active on Instagram. Her feed full of selfies, photos of her children, friends, coworkers, and inspirational quotes. Absent from her more recent photos was Brian. In her bio, she describes herself as a, quote, confident, generous, loving leader, serving those I lead. Her final Instagram post was on New Year's Eve, the day before she went missing. It was a graphic with a quote on it, with the simple message, take the risk of optimism. Throughout the first season of the searches for Ana Walshe, we've brought you what we know so far about this haunting case. The unfolding investigation, Brian's prior criminal schemes, a look inside our coverage, and more. We're expecting the murder trial to get underway this year, perhaps within the next few months. We'll bring you updates on that with new podcast episodes. along with anything else we uncover as we continue to dig into the searches for Ana Walshe. As always, if you want to follow the Walshe case with us, subscribe to the show wherever you get podcasts and leave us a review to help others find the show too. And if you have any information on something we may have missed, please reach out. Search Submit a Tip at nbcboston.com. This episode was produced by Matt Fortin and Julia Yohe, executive produced by Asher Klein and Mark Fortier. I'm Colton Bradford.